Okay, we're in bottom page Kufiyutes. But before we go there, was one thing yesterday. It was one line we read earlier when Shalom Escheles Eile told this Yaakov Yosef. See in said over the Vav Zira is first we said it wasn't clear what it is. So you look, I put that on the WhatsApp. The Zayah, there's a Zayah in Pashas Vayeshev. The Zayah is in. You look in this, if you open up the WhatsApp, I bought a Zayah. The Zayah says here in the page that he opened, page 364, a few lines down, Shalom it says delay. It says Eile Teles Yaakov Yosef. If you can see it, B'me Itmar, what Pshat, Kol Diyukna de Yaakov Ava B'Be Yosef. All the portrait, the view of Yaakov, Arabi Yosef, Chomad Ir Ha'ir Lahai, V'Tavai Kachado as the both equal, V'do Oza Dois Vov. That's what it says. Do Oza Dois Vov, the Asna Tavai Kachado. Begin the Inon Rosa Choda B'Duk Nechoda. The Yaakov and Yosef are the same thing. So in our Maimon it says Vov. It says Ois Vov. So if you look on the side. If you look on the side, there's an aleph. You see the ois vov, there's an aleph on the left. There's a sefer called Nitzutze Eires, but the Chido. Probably heard of the Chido, big, it was in time the Alter Rebbe. His name was Chaim Yosef David Azulai. So you wrote Argos and the Zayah called Nitzutze Eires. So you see here in the Argos, it says, כשרים הווב אפיק ווב, החרס, רמז ליסוד שווב זעיר, קשור לווב אבא ותפארס. And this is really what the Chidos says, and in the bottom of the Sahara it says Zer Chodesh. So Stam, I just want to bring the source to what it says, that Yosef and Yaakov and Yosef are Vov Zeira, and it's Yisrael and Tiferes. Okay, I just wanted to make sure to bring the source. Fine.
What's Zeir Chadash?
Zeir is another Zeir. There's in addition to regular Zeir, there's a book called Zeir Chodesh. I think that's what it means when it says Zeir Chodesh, the source for this entire thing.
Right. I see in the bottom of the parenthesis. But what does that mean? There was two Zeirs or one addition?
The book of Zeir, the way the book of Zeir was in manuscript. The way we got it, there's a few parts. There's the regular Zeir. There's something called Tikkun Zeir. Something called Zeir Chodesh. It's like parts of Zeir that are separate.
Oh, it's
three separate books. One's called Zeir, one's called Tikkun Zeir, one's called Zeir Chodesh. There's exact about the relation between them. I'm not sure myself. There's a lot of stuff written about it, but it quotes all three of them. They're all three are considered Zeir. A lot of things we always talk about are taken from Zeir, some from Zeir Chodesh, some from Tikkun Zeir. Maybe we'll talk about it. Okay, let's go back to our mind. So we finished a very important question. In our pasuk, a very long, full page of the discussed Vigash Yehuda means that Yosef was above Yehuda. Remember, it's Yosef, is Natzil, it's Yosef, Shvatim. Yosef is higher than the Shvatim. Yosef is Natzil, the Shvatim Rambiya. And then he said Yosef biachas to Yehuda also. Yehuda is Malchus and Yosef is Yisrael. He said he was above Malchus. The question is asked, how come the after of Pashas Vayigash say R'Dovid Olidort, that who is the final leader between the two tribes, between the two parts of the Eden of Yehuda and Yosef? In Eretz Yisrael, there was broken into two separate kingdoms: the kingdom of Yehuda and the kingdom of Yisrael, which is Yosef. The king of Yisrael, Aseret Hashvatim, was the first king, Yerovam ben Nevat, who came from Shevet Menashe. Ephraim, from Yosef. So basically, there's Yosef and Yehuda. So for us in love, who will be the control, who will be the leader, be Yehuda, David, which is Nazareth Yehuda. How does it fit what it said now, Maimah, but it said earlier all along that Yosef is higher than Yehuda? That's the question that we finished yesterday. So 3 lines on the bottom of the page, the inner Yosef Yehuda Ba'avoid. See, right away jumps into what it really means to us in practical terms. Yosef and Yehuda, the two Shvatim, Yosef and Yehuda, really represent two ways in Avodas Hashem. In Talmud and Maaseh, Yosef and Yehuda represent the two general modes of Avodas Hashem, Talmud and Maaseh, study and action. שיש המלכות רבי עקיבא טף בקדוש, גמר קדוש. Actually, there's a machlekes of Akiva Taf and the Gemara Kedusha. What's greater? Rabbi Akiva in Talmud God. Akiva said Talmud God. That study is higher than action. Where the Taf name Ma'aseh God. There was a disagreement. Then it says Nanu Kulam. Then there was a resolution in the Gemara in Kedushin. Nanu Kulam Ba'or. It says in the bottom here, Ma'amaka V'in Kedusha. That's memory base. Nanu Kulam Ba'or. Talmud God or Shemevli Demais. Talmud is like a God, but what is the mile of God? Talmud because Mevli Demais. Okay, so let's discuss what is the inner meaning of this machlokes of the statement. You know, the Talmud still the Ma'aseh Gadol. If we say the Talmud says Ma'aseh Gadol, it's really deeper meaning to this statement. I know that the Ma'aseh Mamshech is Gadol Avai. God, the word Gadol here means not just greater. It's greater. It's more important. It's more higher level. Spirituality. It means something different. 1 second. Mamshech is Gadol Avai. The meaning of Gadol means that to the Ma'aseh we pull down the Madai of Gadol Avai. Didn't exceed what it says. We say in R'Dovid Olidort. The Gedula represents, when we say the Abish's greatness, really means the act of Ma'aseh Be'eshit, creation. The Sabbath Olam near Gedula. Why is the Sabbath Olam called Gedula? Why is creation of the world called greatness? Because the Sabbath Olam because the Sabbath creation is not like like a chain of events that the chain from cause to effect from all call Baalam Bilas. So it's all Baalam Bilas. The way Ilah operates is that the Ilah, the cause, has the effect contained within it originally. So there's nothing new. By Sabbath, when the Ilah is created when the all is created from the Ilah, a Sabbath action is Galamel Lagil. So that means it's just an act of revelation from a state of concealment to a state of openness. The famous Mishalim, which we always know as Sidus, Gilabal, Sechel, and Midas, that Sechel creates Midas, and the Machshava creates Zibah. Amidas Klorim, Array, Midas Klorim Tchila Basechel, this Galamel Lagil. The midas are contained within the seichel. Seichel contain the concept that this objects deserve this feeling, but the seichel understood it already, and then it expresses itself in actual feelings. It's only Melamagil. V'shein mashamedava b'dibar and it's chashes. So the Meshikosim is a bedar katanti. All of them has earlier in the Ma'amah katanti. First Ma'amah katanti was a long narration about this concept of Shalom Dibur and Masechel Midas is only Elam Megillah. I was having to say elements in the Nitzah and Nasa. Mashenk the creation of all the elements. The three elements, Bri Yitzir Asi, and Goyim Nitzah and Nasim are easily schached more Ma'anu Yesh. It's in a way that it's a totally new creation, something new that didn't exist. From nothing. Before it was created, it wasn't in a state of mitzias like the ill in the world. Something didn't exist. That's what he's saying. That the creation is renewed every day. Interesting. In other words, this concept happens not just every day, it means constantly. It's true that the creation is not something that happened by mikra. It's what is the word? It's like an occurrence that it just happened.
Accident.
Accident. Okay, accident's a little too strong. Yeah, maybe accident's the word. It all came with an intent. They created everything on purpose. You can't caution yesh b'shar shemaka. Since that it was part of an intent, it means that it existed in a state of intent in its source. What is it saying here? Kol ma shenisave yesh b'shar shemaka. Dainu b'atzilus. Sha'itzilus mehava b'yab yesh akal kol b'atzilus. It's okay. It's interesting. It goes into an interesting discussion. Since it's something that happened with the intent of the creator, in the mind, so to speak, of the creator, you know what he wanted to create. So it does exist in his mind. It's a mushroom, I'm saying. So similarly here, everything created from Atzilus existed in Atzilus. He explains it more. He's going to go into a discussion how this is actually what he's going to discuss now. How the way it is in Atzilus, it's still not ilavol. It's more yesh ma'ai. He goes into a long discussion on that. Atzilus is it's a new way to describe it. Atzilus. Every mimer alone, we talk about Atzilus and Bria, but each mimer has a different nuance. Here it describes another take on how to describe what is Atzilus. What is Atzilus according to what it says here? Atzilus means the interest, the interest to create. That means Atzilus. Above Atzilus, everything is hidden and concealed. Kamaima, like the same passage, sim. Ant means huge, above Atzilus, you're higher than everything and you're hidden from everything. Well, unless it's spheres, same Mashenka, what's that spheres? In Pasach Eliyah, what does it say? And to the Afikas Asatikunin, the you created 10 tikunin, the way translate tikunin, garment, there's ways of you to translate. The Atzilus, and the Atzilus are lots of Ashpil Gas and Atzilus, Zayn as the Atzilus. Okay, so that's how interesting description what Atzilus is. Atzilus is the expression of an interest in creation. Above Atzilus is no interest in anything. It's just Hulavadehu. The Eivishter is there, and there's nothing else. Atzilus means that it's a certain level of interest, expressing interest in creation. That's what Atzilus is. Well, there's Moshe Menefesh Adam. Give an example the way it is in the human experience. It's the essence of the soul, which is called Yechido. So the Yechido is above any attributes, any expression. Nefesh. Who is Galus Atmis Nefesh? Mizel is Galus Atmis. How does the Nefesh do anything? The Nefesh itself is just in a state of being itself, without any expression. What makes what makes the movement, the movement, or what makes the nefesh express itself? That's called rotz. Rotz means that is galus atzmas. That the atzmas is not just staying in its own box, so to speak, but it expresses itself. The entire and any aspect of the nefesh that's expressed is a result of thoughts. That means a interest in doing it. The person has an interest in using his intellect, innovate ideas, then he applies himself to it. He actually does it. And also the nefesh wants to do chesed, to be giving, that's that bichlal. The whole concept of koiches is a result of the rotz. It's showing interest in doing something. And only that, the way the attributes of the soul are expressed, there's various ways how it's done. Sometimes your mind works one way, and sometimes a different way. There's a few ways the chesed is done. Sometimes pure giving, sometimes the giving is combined with judgment. The point is, why all the different ways? So the seichel itself, why are there differences? Why is there a variety in the way the seichel is expressed? It's all a result of how the nefesh wants, the interest of the nefesh. And the lamailos, that's the nimshal. What's the nimshal lamailos? We get atzilus. The atzilus amatzil, the etz, I'm talking the etz essence of the likus. That's similar to the concept of Yechida. The Matzil itself, the Eibush itself, it's like the Yechida. He is who he is. He stays in himself. And then the Eibush as a rotz, as an interest in creation. That's what makes the spheres. That he reveals the sphere. Yes, but the Kamei Fanim Shenim Zigas Rakovas spheres from the scholars Shalem. And the way the spheres are expressed, there are various options. How they combine. Everything is driven and triggered by the Ratzon. So the Ratzon is really the Ratzon HaMatzil to create. That is what creates the spheres. And through this combination and what is the word meziga, what is a better word for meziga? Also balancing that reaches biyah. For example, the Sabbath creation of the first day of Sheish Neveich La'elokim Chesed. Sabbath the second day. That is the Yud, the Sol Ma'amorish, which the way it's in Atzilus, so the way there in Atzilus, means Chesed and Gvur, in a certain measurement, a certain combination and balance. Then when these spheres reach low and the level of Malchus, then they reach Ma'ayin Elokim Mavis Hayesh, and that creates the actual Yesh, the Oil and the Lakia. So what do we learn from all this entire discussion? Everything that exists in Olam Biyah, in our reality, first existed in a spiritual state, and Olam Atzilus in the spheres. ומזה ניסה והדור בריאה. And that, in turn, caused the creation of that same, so to speak, concept in the way it's in the בריאה. הרי שכל הפרטים לבריאה באיך שהכל נתחיל באצילות. From this discussion, it seems like all the details, all the specific items in the Elam Biyah were first contained in a higher state in Atzilus. Or Gamosh goes, it's Chaim, and it says in the period, it's Chaim, and it's Chaim says even more, Shekol Pchinas that Chaim Yesh Batzilus. All the four madrigas that the entire universe is made up of, all of it exists in Atzilus also. That the era contradicted. He started saying that the Ishavos is Yesh Mayim, not Ilav Olam. It seems like Ilav Olam because it was first existed in Atzilus and now it's in our world. So why do we say Yesh Mayim is not Ilav Olam? So now is the answer. Says what existed in Atzilus is not the existence itself, the Etzem Metzias. The only Madrega Ruchni, it's only a spiritual state. Al Kmel Derech Marshal, so things are built from Marshal to that. Adam shows the Libertarian Mashafti is a Dovo person develops an interest. And not only an interest, he's thinking about doing something. More, for example, even as Binyan Kaka. For example, he develops an interest to build a building. So when he develops that interest, he imagines that building in his own mind, his own thought. But what does he have in his mind? Not the actual building, only the spiritual. It's not that the building is in his mind. The building it doesn't exist. It's just the way he thinks about it. He thinks about the idea. That's the answer. The spiritual form of what eventually created, it's stuck in a spiritual state. That stuck exists originally in Atzilus also. But the actual essence and an existence and tangible thing that didn't exist at all before. We spent the whole page explaining. We started at the top of the page. It's now is Gedula. Why is it Gedula? Because creating something from nothing is a huge, it's a very great act, which it has certain, it's a wonder. It's a failure because unlike the all is called the Ilam. The Yeshma'ayin is something new. So you spend the whole thing explain the Chayra. We do find that things of Elamaz exist in Atzilus, and the answer that the obvious answer that the way it exists in Atzilus, it's not the thing itself. It's just its concept, the spiritual concept. Going back,
sorry, what's the difference between somebody has the words of speech? It's also brand new. Like the words weren't there. It's maybe in Ruchnes, in Machshava, but it's not.
Okay. So, first of all, you can say that the words themselves were in your mind also. So it's not really, in other words, you think in your mind certain word and you say it. So it's a good point you're making. Okay, so in Seichel Midas we can relate because what are in the world in the spiritual sense? Words, actually, sometimes Chassidus talks about there is an aspect to Dibur which is not structures. Remember, there was an interesting thing. We learned the Hemshach. What was it? It was Shavuos Samachay, or maybe Rosh Hashanah Samachay. So there is stress the opposite. That each stage in the Shtachel is Yesh Ma'ayin. Each stage. Sometimes, like serious, everything went up from mirror. Sometimes that stress is the point that there is an aspect to Dibur, B'yachas to Machshava, which is Yesh Ma'ayin. The word himself, like you say, didn't the words, the way we speak, we tell them, didn't exist in Machshava. But here he's talking about more the concept, the yachas of the concept of the word, the teichen of the word, the way you say it, and the way you think about it, they're ill. Sometimes, sometimes the Gemara said, sometimes speech is something in between. Sometimes it's considered action. So from that perspective, so that act, that part is yesh me'ayin. It didn't exist in machshava, the act. But there is an aspect to dibur which is more ill. The idea that you had in your mind, now somebody else knows about it. There's nothing. Okay. If I remember correctly, the point you just asked, I think, discussed and say this song. Okay. I'll look it up. Maybe I'll find some. But it's a good. Yeah. However, don't forget, it's all a mushroom. We have to keep in mind that all these things are mashon. We were just trying to understand this in yesh ma'ayin all. So conceptually, the yachas of the Metzias HaYesh to the Likus is yesh ma'ayin because the yeshes shebezeh didn't exist. The tziyur, for example, it said the oil b'yachas t'chesed ha'atzilus. The physical light didn't exist in Atzilus. But the concept of giving, shining, that exists. So, in that aspect of it, it's yesh ma'ayin. But the point of Mashal and Dibur is something that needs more. You're right. Okay, good. So that is the reason why Gedula Saber, how I Gedula is a nice amazing. Said Daphne is Chachus. יש מאין, וזה נקרא לסבר, יש מסע וסציל, שנסגיל היה לנו לבד. שוב, זה דבר, אבל מסע וסציל, יש, משחק שלנו, זה דבר נפלא מאוד, דבר נפלא. Something very, it's a wonder, something that we cannot imagine. Maimar Chazal, there's a famous Maimar Chazal, interesting Chazal, the way Chazal expressed the concept that nobody can create anything, יש מאין, what Chazal say, but Wisconsin called by all humanity will sit together, will gather together. Can't even create one little mosquito. So that Chazal is expressing the concept that only the Eibush does the create yesh me'ayin. But what's interesting is, that's a different discussion, also not for now, but according to what we say here, the Chidash is the Yesh Ma'ayin, but somebody in Chazal says, Lahatel bein neshama. That first of all, Chazal bring a dogma from something from Mina Chai, the Yatash, which is a mosquito. And also, Chazal also talk about Lahatel bein neshama, that nobody has the power to give it life. But in the way Chassidus uses this Chazal, there's to explain that only the Rebbe can create yesh me'ayin. So yesh me'ayin applies lav dafka to a yatosh, lav dafka to chai, semeach and daimim off. Also, the idea of lativ and neshama, that's already a different ballgame. It's a different point. That only the Rebbe can make things alive. Like I'm trying to say, on the face of it, that Chazal is more but at Gosh over there is that only the Rebbe can give life, not to be in the Shama. But in other words, nobody can create something but give it on the Shama. That's what the pashtus of that Chazal. But Chassidus always brings that Chazal. I think before Chassidus, in its form before Chassidus, when they want to express the concept that only the Rebbe can create that Bri Yeshma is only b'cheka b'yere, which means only the Eibishter has the power to do it. So this is the Chazal that's brought. So this concept of creating something from nothing, I think if I remember correctly, it says knaf yad. Sometimes it says lashon knaf yad shechel. That they can't create even a wing of a mosquito. And now remember, the mosquito is considered the lowest creation because the reason it brings a much more mosquito is because within the world of within Olam HaChai, within the living beings, the mosquito is an example of the lowest because Machnis Bein Yamitzi. In other words, he doesn't contribute anything. I mean, everything's relative, you know. But
in today's language, you would say not even a cell.
exactly, 100%. So they would say a cell, but even then, like I said, a cell is already something living. It's something biological. But the truth is, even less than that. Can't even create something which is an atom. Today would say an atom. Can't even create an atom. In other words, the concept is clear. It's really obvious to all of us that nobody has human beings don't have the power to take something out of nothing. All the innovations in science, the most radical innovations, is never from nothing. It takes something and you restructure it, turn something into something else. But there's something out of nothing that's impossible. That's one point. But also the shama. There's another point. The shama. The shama means, again, in the more modern sense. Now, shama means that there should have some life. I don't know exactly the modern definition of life is. Life means it should have its own movement, its own. Not sure exactly. I'm not calling the union science, but I'm just trying to bring out the point. So that's an obvious statement, which doesn't even need that much introduction. That non-niva has the power to make something out of nothing. Everything we deal with is only yesh miyesh. That's what he says. The il of all yesh gamti. The concept of il of all exists in one also. But he brings interesting. Well, what brings the ayah? Yesh il of all the malach, the malachim call out one to the other, like we say, "Mekablin dein min dein," said, translate. Mekablin dein min dein, they receive one from the other. So that means basically ill of all. So that's in the malach. Mata mashpia mekabel. So in similar, the inner feel of all exists in the matter in our mashpia mekabel. Teacher and student. The teacher teaches the student. That's mashpia. That's also each individual person within himself. But so the inner of all exists within our experience, our own experience. We think when we speak, and we understand something, and that creates feelings. Again, so we're stressing the point, doesn't exist within Nihon. So all this explains what we started the discussion, top of page Kuf. It says it says Maisa Godel. Godel means God Lavai. What's Godel? Godel is the Maisa Bereshis. That's why the Maisa Bereshis Gedulim Teshebazeh Nikar Godel Sabayr. So that's stage one. We call them but at the same time, what does it say in pasuk? L'cho havaya gdul. What does l'cho havaya gdul means? David Malchut, I think it was David. David Malchut, David Hashem could have said, "Hata gadol, you are great," right? You are great means you are great. L'cho havaya gdul means you have gdula. It's not you. You're something else. Not only that, he said l'cha means the minutes gdula tofel a bottle of. L'cha means you have gdula. It's not gdula is not something that you're proud of. That it's you are the gadol. You just l'cha gdula. Tofel a bottle she'enet tefes mokum ge'at ratzmus. The Gedula itself we just discussed, which is the South that power of the South Yeshma'ayin is only Tofel Botoloch. It's something insignificant. The Mamokim, so that's when I'm a Chazal. Why is it Tofel Botol? The Mamokim, the Loss Hashemat on the Vasanusa. The Gedula itself is really is humility. It's really something which is insignificant, and it's a state of descent. It's not him. It's something which is which he has to lower itself to be there.
But how this a statement? I'm sorry. How this a statement shows bottle that Gedula is bottle, because in the Hashem it seems like it's praising. It's saying that this is one of your attributes. Why would you say this?
Okay, it's one. It's one of the diukim. That's why it started saying. Could have said Ata Gadol. Ata means you are great, right? It says someone you great means the greatness represents who you are. L'cha Shem Gedula means you have Gedula. L'cha, it's something that you have. It's not you. It means it's something not that significant. So that's obviously it's a deal. That's not a simple shot.
Or maybe we can say that the Gedula is yours. In other words, it's not that's something that, so to speak, that you created. That you are the one, that you are the originator of the Gedula, not saying Lecha Hashem Gedula.
Okay, fine. All right, that's right. You see, okay, fine. But like always, there's always is this deal. You have to look up in the Meforshim how they. Imcha is not you. It's something that imcha bottle of. It's not you. It's something that you have. It's not you. It's not your real you. The male, not only that, in order for the Eibusha to be in a state of Gedula, it's really something that requires him to lower himself from his real state. Creation of world is really not him. It's something it's a descent. It's a lowering of his being. Well, they seem some godl. So brings in the famous Arizal. The creation of the tzimtzum godl. The creation is not himself. There had to be a huge tzimtzum contraction. He contracted himself. It means he withheld his expression. It means he moved his Gadol Atzad. Interesting, the word God. It's a deal with that. Okay, like he summarizes in 2 words, but Chassidus talks in other places. So longer richets. What does tzimtzum mean? That the Eibusha put aside Kaviyachol, contained, hid the Erabligvul, the power, the infinity, and he limited himself in a measured and limited expression, to be in a state that is a source for the illness. He himself is very above it. The Gvul, first of all, anything that's limited is Shalem Be'erach, it's not the same dimension as something which is unlimited. So that itself is a huge symptom, it's a huge contraction. So now, after we discussed what we just said, really what we just said now is Maruma is what it's saying in davening. We started davening in the beginning of Shmona Esrei. What do we say? Okay, Hagadol v'Hagibor v'Hanoyer, right? So he says, Oimrim Hagadol Hagibor. Say the 2 things: you're great and you're a gibor. You're strong. What is the connection Gadol and gibor? It's not in kasha. But since both of these phrases come together, there must be some kind of connection between them. It should be a God, what we just said before, to express that greatness and create the world. Well, is a difference with symptom that. Okay, so we finished discussing partially. What is the inyan of Gedula Shalamayla, the Asavas, the creation, And how does the Gula come about? To Tzimtzum. What causes? What makes the Eibishter Kaviyachal be in that stage that he's mitzamtzem atzmi, he limits himself, he blocks, he limits and he hides himself in order to create the world. What triggers it? What is the cause of it? Or the Maisa mitzvahs. So that now we go back all the way. Remember, we started the discussion. Tafel says Maisa Godel. The Godel, the Gedula of first line of page Kufrov. They Maisa Amshem plus Godel Avai. How do we draw Milamayla? The Madrig of Godel Avai, but the Savos, that is the Maisa Mitzvahs. Maisa Mitzvahs, this is really the ultimate source, that's the ultimate trigger for the creation. The Maisa Malch Miloshin Kfir Ve'echer. So bring in another point. The word Maisa is not just action, it's more than action. It's Kfir Ve'echer. Maisa means to force yourself to do something against your nature. Miloshin Get Me'us. So he always brings these two dogmois from Halacha. And the word Maisa is used in Halacha in two places to express the idea of forcing something. Number one, get me'use. The Halacha is get me'use is possible. Get the giver of the get was forced to do it is possible because it says. What is I don't remember which passage alone. It has to be Lirtzeina. What's the marsh? I don't remember now exactly. Because I was say for cases, what does it say?
In Vayikra, I think you're talking about the Korbanos, let's say.
No, not in Korbanos. Korbanos says Lirtzeina. I'm talking about get. It says something but in get. The halacha by get is get me'usa is possible. If the husband is forced to give the get, it's possible because it has to be Lirtzeina. He has to give it from his own free will. That's the halacha. It's a very important halacha. It's
At the same time, they force him to do it, and it's a good
It's one of those in the world, in today's world, always. It's one of those complicated halachas in Gittin. How do we force someone to be a get and should not be called get ma'usa? There's a lot of acrobatics how to get around it. That in other words, if you can't force them directly, there's some way indirect. One of the hardest parts that's in today's world, in the world of agunas, some husbands don't want to give it to their wives, and we have to make them give it. But there has to be a way. You cannot do it directly. You cannot come with the. I mean, the halacha. Okay, it says in Chonah, there's three situations that the Mishnah says in Gittin that we do that Chacham get because. I don't remember the three situations. In that case, it says, in that case, we can force him. It said, actually, the famous Amam, he says, yeah, I do want to do it. The Amam asks, what do you mean you want to do it? So you're doing it because someone is forcing you. So the famous Rabbi always goes, Amam, call Echad Misal, right? So, since I'll pay Allah, you have to do it, consider that you want to do it. But that's only a few specific situations. But the rest of the situations, there's a very complicated. I'm not learning halacha here now. I'm just stuck. So we see the word me'usa means force. We used to ask Maisa means action, but we see in the world of halacha that get me'usa means a forced get, which is possible. So we see the word Maisa means what?
I'm sorry, interrupting you. So you're saying I'm not sure exactly what's clear on. Agora Bechnat Simpson Zeu al de Masa Misut. What's Farkir, no? The Masa Misut causes. I before I give my own understanding, so tell me what does that mean? Simpson is Ardeas and Masa Misut.
What to say it generally, why did the Eibishter create the world? What made the Eibishter creating the world? Why create the world? Because He wanted we should do mitzvahs. That's the general point he's making here, but he's going to discuss it more. In other words, what is the ultimate purpose of creation? So we know in Tanya, and it says, "B'min nimlach, b'min shel tzaddikim." It says in Chassidus, all of the, in other words, the entire creation, which is the creation is the Gedula, right? What was the purpose of creation? What was the cause of creation? Because the Eibishter wanted we should do mitzvahs. But that's the meaning what it says here. What causes the Eibishter to be mitzamtzum himself, which is the Gibor, and the Tzimtzum will eventually create the world, Godel. What causes it? Maise, because we do mitzvahs. You're right, he jumped into it like all of a sudden. Eventually he's also gonna compare the concept of tzimtzum to the concept of maise. Tzimtzum means withhold. What does tzimtzum mean? The Kaviyach holds himself in. He prevents himself from expressing, right? So the maise means also has that aspect in it, which like that we started saying. Maise lashon fear ve'echer. Okay, what did you want to say? That's.
I was thinking that it's saying that the Maaseh Mitzvot through the performing of the mitzvot, then God gives the chizuk to Simsum, gives to the creation, in other words, the strengthening the idea of the Simsum. So, because it's al yedei Maaseh Mitzvot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, what he's saying is true, but it's interesting how he jumped into it because, like he said, he started all discussion with okay, but he's going to develop it more later. Let's one thing at a time. So at this point, he says it's going to go very long. He's going to actually express it more later on page 4 of base. He goes into the discussion with Arichas. So he starts with one point that Maisa is not just action. That's a very important point because just like Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum means what is Tzimtzum? Withholding. Kaviyachol, if you think about the concept of Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum means Tzimtzum is the opposite of being just yourself. You be yourself, you do what you want. Tzimtzum means you hold yourself in, right? That's similar in a way to the concept of fear. Fear means you force yourself to go against your nature. So just to say that mice is lashon fear, but two mice in halach. Number one is getma, we just said. Or kamoid is another expression, halach. We see the word mice is used as doing something against your nature. Me'asin ala tzedakah. The Gemara says in Baba Bas. So give it now. Me'asin ala tzedakah is in Baba Bas. Okay, it says it within the one B'siyasif. I'm not sure. B'siyasif is in here. Okay, the Gemara says, "Ma'asin ala tzedakah is we force every community forces its members to give tzedakah. It's not just it's not voluntary. You two things that can be so find in halacha. The word ma'ase is used not just to signify action, used to signify force against your nature. In the world of get ma'ase, and in the world of tzedakah, ma'asin ala tzedakah. The male, what do you want? What does it mean? The ika avoided the mitzvah is akecherda. The ultimate in of mitzvahs is not the act, which is really doesn't. And you have to think how it fits what it says in Tanya. Tanya says Perek Lamed. The ika is the ma'ase, just the act, the dry act. But he says no. It's the true. The dry act is that's the mitzvah. If like it says in Tanya in the Perek Lamed Ches, the kavana itself doesn't help. You have to do the act. But he says really it's called ma'ase because the act is not the view. There's a deeper point here. The ikar avoid the mitzvahs who brings hechter. This force yourself going against its nature, which means the eine shigam einer is a yasam mitzvah. The concept of ma'ase mitzvah means you should force yourself to do it even if you're not interested. She's very in the ma'ase mitzvah says kabbalas ma'al. That's why we find in Chazal that when we talk about ma'ase mitzvahs, the Chazal says kabbalas oil. You have to accept the yoke. Why? Maimer, like a famous Chazal said, what Lama Kodma Shmal Voyim Shemoya. First it says Shema Yisrael B'Ein Kohen Echad. After, then the next parsha says Voyim Shemoya Tishon Mitzvosai. Why is that one before the other? Say Chazal, Kabul Malchus, Kabul Gzerois. First, in Kabul Malchus, Shema Yisrael B'Ein Kohen Echad, except the Eibishter's kingship, and then Gzerois. Like it says, Lama Kodma Shema Voyim Shemoya. Why does Parsha Shema come before Voyim Shemoya? That's the lashon in Brachos. I think the Mishnah. So what do we see here? The lashon is the kabel of oil mitzvahs. Right? Why did it say kabel of oil? It should have said yasa mitzvahs. But why is the concept oil like a yoke? Why? Kabbalas oil shows adama be'echer, because the Kabbalas oil expresses the concept that the way you do mitzvahs is that you force yourself. Kamoya vedas eved show oil be'echer, like a servant who does things because he's forced to do it. Ain't a daimel la'oyev v'ner. It's not like two people who love each other. Shoyse baratzen. So if you love someone, you do something for him because you love him. That's not about Kabbalah soil. It's an expression of your feeling. You feel such a strong feeling of love for the other person that you want to do something for him. You want to do what he wants. That's not called oil. It's not like you feel a yoke. It flows naturally to you. That your love for him sort of automatically makes you want to do things for him. So that's not Kabbalah soil. So the word elaf is missing it. The shemuch is an obech. That's the difference in the eved and the oyev and ner. U'kamoikin u'maisa mitzvah kabbalah soil. U'shoiz ha'be'echa gam she'ein eretz. Ha'ois ha'tam tzeres ha'melech. Similar to the difference in the eved and the oyev. The same thing is also in the situation of mitzvahs. We do after the mitzvah, the kaim zeras hamelech. Not because you want. Okay, we have to understand a little bit. I guess he's going to go along. He's still in the middle of a very long discussion about this. He says the ultimate meaning of mitzvahs, ma'aseh mitzvahs, means you have to feel like you're servant. The sometimes the Eved wants to do it. He wants to please his master. So actually, that shows more of bittul. For example, sometimes we find that the Eved wants to fulfill what his master told him, but even then, it's not an expression of love. It's more an expression of bittul. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow.
Yeah.